What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over Undertone. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you talk about movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about Undertone. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, honestly, I didn't really know much about this movie. I just knew the early buzz was very, very good for the film. Everybody, of course, like normal, every year we're going to have a movie that everyone calls the scariest movie of the year, scariest movie of the decade, scariest movie since Hereditary. You guys know the drill. So, of course, I was curious just of that premise alone, that everybody was really hyped up about it. Everybody was calling it super scary. And I'm not someone that typically gets scared too easily. So, of course, I wanted to go check this out. Now, I never watched the trailer. I didn't even know exactly what it was about. I just knew that the sound design was a huge factor, of course, with the name Undertone. How can you not see that through? But I was pretty excited to go check this out. And for the most part, it was decent. It was pretty good. Nothing too crazy. But before I give you my pros and cons about Undertone, let me know what you guys thought about the movie in the comment section down below. Did this movie scare you guys like you were expecting? Or was this a little bit more of an underwhelming experience? Definitely note all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, starting with my pros, I really much like the concept of this movie, and especially in the day of age that we are in right now, where it seems like everyone is making a podcast. We are following Evie or Eva, whatever her name was, and Justin with their Undertone podcast as they get a mysterious email and they start to uncover some sinister things through these audio files that were attached to the email. And now that's pretty much what we get throughout the whole movie is them recording their podcast and just listening to these audio files in sequence as they seem to feel like there's some sort of demonic stuff going on. Now, Evie is kind of more of a skeptic. She doesn't really believe in all the supernatural stuff. That's kind of like their whole thing with their podcast. Justin is the believer of everything. Everything he reads, he believes it, and Evie is the skeptic, which tries to debunk everything that she hears. So they go ahead and go argue back and forth as they're listening to these files, and she thinks that they're being played, a prank is being played on them, or there's just some sort of disturbance in the audio file, while he is fully on board. He's following every single thing, thinking this is 100% real. And I think overall that is a very fun and unique concept, especially when you implement the sound design of this movie that is very, very, very crisp, where you get really nice audio. The audio files on them, like, they really try to bring that creep factor and that unsettling, that how unsettling it is when you hear all these really weird and random noises and voices in this audio file, and they crank up the audio while you're in the theater alone and you're just listening in for something, waiting for a jump scare, or just boom, a super loud noise to kind of make you jump in your seat. So that is a very fun concept of using that sound design so well to just really bring that unsettling feeling to you as you're watching this movie, and kind of just making you nervous and really tense throughout the entire film. I also like the setting of this movie. It's obviously very like horror movie trope-esque when it comes to like haunted houses or demonic possession houses, where everything just seems very old, and this like really old wallpaper, and all the furniture looks old, and the weird staircases and the lighting, like, it's very haunted house-esque, possession movie-esque in terms of that vibe. And that just kind of helps with the elevation of the sound design to just make it more creepy, where you're always looking at the dark corners, trying to see if you can see anything in the dark corners. But for the most part, it's really all that sound design. And I think they try to use their camera work and their cinematography to kind of divert your attention to those dark corners. And they'll try to get you with the sound design, with those loud booms and things like that. So overall, cinematography is really good. The location that they're in, this is pretty much a one location movie. That is also really good as well. It just really helps elevates that kind of creepy, unsettling factor. And this was a quick one, only an hour and a half, so you're really going in and out pretty quickly. The tension kind of stays up throughout the entire time. This definitely seems like a movie that would merit a second watch, and especially at home. I think this movie would be much more effective at home than in the theaters. While it was still pretty creepy in the theaters, it definitely wasn't the scariest thing in the world. I've seen much scarier movies. And again, I'm not someone to get too scared that easily, but I do think if you were to watch this movie at home and especially by yourself, that is where this movie is going to get really under your skin, because just the dark corners and the sound design, you're going to start thinking like you're hearing something behind you. So yeah, I think definitely a second watch at home would definitely be very interesting to see how it holds up and if it makes it any more scary and tense, kind of being home alone in the dark. Also really enjoyed, again, concept of this movie. Obviously, like I said, we're listening to these audio files, and kind of uncovering what is the mystery behind them. But I do like this other concept that we go over about like nursery rhymes and prayers, and how they all always seem kind of demonic or evil, or there's some twisted message behind them. And I'm sure a lot of us have always heard that, where, ring around the rosy, it's about kids dying, or London Bridge is falling down, similar thing. And so they all have this like demonic thing kind of behind them, or some evil undertone. Or if you play them in reverse, you start to hear voices, and it kind of goes into like how our brain does a lot of pattern recognition. We start to see things or hear things that aren't actually there, or are not actually being said or heard. So it's a very fun concept like that, where even you yourself, you're trying to like, do I hear anything? And at that point, it's kind of hard because you don't know if that's just obviously the sound design crew purposely making something sound like there's something there, or if it's just your brain trying to figure something out and getting that pattern recognition. So that is something that was a very fun thing to do as well while you're really listening, and that's something that always gets you as well, where you're listening to these audio files and you're starting to kind of try to listen as closely as possible, and then you get this loud boom and to scare you. So I think the utilization of the sound design was absolutely amazing, and that is for sure like the biggest like positive of this movie. That was the main character of this film. But overall, I had a good time with it. I don't think it was the scariest thing in the world, but it also wasn't not scary. It definitely kept me tense. It kept me unsettled. So overall, I think it was pretty good in that aspect. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons. And there's a lot of things sprinkled out in this cons. You have this whole concept of this podcast, and it's so weird the way they film it, the way they shoot it, where you have them listening to these audio files and you're sitting there with them listening to them and doing their little podcast for like 10 minutes, and things start going down. They start Googling things, trying to do research so they can speak in the podcast, but they don't really talk in it. Like if you were listening to this podcast actually yourself, like in your car, driving through the traffic, this is what the podcast will pretty much sound like. Oh, wow. What is it? Oh, I found something. What'd you find? So and so died in this so and so. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm not feeling too well. Maybe we should do this another time. Okay, let's record tomorrow. And that's it. Like they don't express themselves or talk like someone doing a podcast would, where you're trying to explain every little detail because there's no visuals, and they don't really speak too much in the podcast. And not to mention, they record 10 minutes at a time, and then they go, yeah, let's record this tomorrow. Actually, you know what? I can't record it tomorrow. Let's record it the next day. Okay, cool. A couple of days go by, they record their next part of this episode. Once again, they listen to a few audio files. Evie starts to feel a little wonky and weird, and she's, you know what, I'm not feeling too good. Can we pick this up in a couple of days? Sure. A couple of days pass by. They listen to a couple more audio files. I think we should stop listening. Let's finish this next week. Okay. And this is supposed to be a podcast in this universe that releases every Friday, but yet they can't sit for 10 minutes to finish a single episode, or can't sit more than 10 minutes to finish a single episode. And I know that's kind of more of a movie telling aspect of it, but it definitely makes you start to wonder how their podcast is even successful. How are they even doing this? Like, it just seems like such a choppy way to do this. And it's meant to just stretch out what is going on. Because if not, they could have knocked these 10 files out in a single night, and then there wouldn't be a movie, right? Or they're introducing things like demonic figures in like folklore and stuff, like this one they call Azazu or something like that. And they introduce him, they speak a little bit about him or her, whatever the demonic figure is, but they don't really go too much deeper into it. We don't learn too much about it, its capabilities, if it's real, if it's not real. We assume it's real because of the things that are happening in the film as well. but it doesn't really expand much on it. You leave the movie kind of unsatisfied because we don't really learn too much about this demonic figure. You also have the mother of Evie who is ill and she's taking care of him. And she seems to be asleep throughout the entire movie, but there seems to be something weird going on with her as well, whether she's possessed or there's just some other demonic supernatural things going on. But we really don't really explore that too much. And by the end of the movie, once again, you leave yourself unsatisfied and there's no explanation of what really is going on. And that constantly happens throughout the movie where we're introducing things and not exploring it. It just seems like every single frame is something new, but we're not going beyond it to try to bring the audience in and feel like you're a part of this story. It just doesn't have the explanations, or it doesn't show you enough to make you feel like you understand what is really at play here. You can obviously make easy assumptions because they kind of spell it out for you, but it's very surface level. We don't get much more beyond that. And again, by the time the movie ends, you are just like, oh, that's it. Well, that gave me no answers whatsoever. And it's a good movie where it's entertaining, it's creepy enough where you could watch it and it's like a fun little, night movie to creep out all your friends, but there's nothing really there. The substance of it is very, again, surface level, and it's a well-made movie for what it's trying to do. I think what it's trying to do, again, with the sound design, it does that well, but every other aspect, it's lacking something, and Undertone is underwhelming. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about Undertone in the comment section down below. This movie was decent. It was one of those movies where I can't really, decipher what I like about it. I can't really decipher what I don't like about it. So it's kind of just all bleh in the middle. I did my best to explain what I did and did not like about the movie, but even talking about it, it's just kind of like there was just something off about it that didn't make it one of the best of the year, but it's definitely not going to be one of the worst of the year. It was still, for the most part, pretty enjoyable. But again, if you guys like talking about movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.